Hey everyone, welcome to the Mobile User Acquisition Show. In the Mobile User Acquisition Show, we feature interviews with the smartest folks in mobile and growth who share invaluable, actionable, tactical insights on every aspect of mobile growth and marketing, not to mention some adjacent areas just as well. The Mobile User Acquisition Show is presented by me, Shamant Rao, CEO of the mobile growth marketing firm Rocketship HQ, and produced by Karishma Sundaram, our superstar content marketing manager at Rocketship HQ. Each episode includes strategies, tips, and pointers from the leading edge of mobile growth marketing that you can use to unlock tremendous growth for your app in a sustainable and capital efficient manner. A common question that we receive sometimes is, well, it's great to say work on retention and improve your retention, but how exactly do you improve retention? Obviously, each product is different, and while there is no one-size-fits-all solution, there are certain principles that you could use to identify levers for improving your retention. One such lever or a direction that you could explore could be to look for ways to sacrifice monetization for retention. In other words, look for ways to reduce your short-term monetization in order to improve your longer-term retention, which hopefully improves your longer-term monetization as well. A good way to understand this could be to look at this via the lens of a word game that I worked on a while ago. This was a crossword game with daily content. It offered users one crossword per day. In some ways, this was very similar to a traditional newspaper that has had a daily crossword. So users would receive one puzzle a day. Users started with a certain number of coins or in-game currency, and they would spend a certain number of coins every day on each day's puzzle. Our original hypothesis or plan was that by the time the users ran out of the coins that were first given to them, they would be hooked to the game and be willing to spend on IAPs in order to play more puzzles. Now, unfortunately, when the users ran out of coins, they were not getting hooked. Instead, they were giving up and leaving the app altogether. That would result in a huge drop in retention because users realized they had to pay to play, and this made the app economically unviable. Users were not getting hooked like we wanted them to. So we had two options at this point. One option we considered was, can we give them more coins at the beginning? Because maybe the problem is that we're not giving users enough time to get hooked to the game. So maybe giving them more coins would give them more time to become hooked before they would have to pay to play. The other option we considered was to make the daily puzzles completely free and hope that people would just retain more if the puzzles were free, and we would monetize them primarily via ads. When we thought about both these options, we realized the first option had some risks, which is that, if the users are not getting hooked in 1 week, maybe they're not going to be hooked in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. And if we looked at our analogy of crossword puzzles being similar to daily newspaper puzzles, users were expecting to get their puzzles free every day automatically with no friction, without having to pay for it. So we went down the latter path to make the puzzles completely free and to sacrifice monetization for retention, with the hypothesis that if we monetized our retaining users via ads, they would perceive the puzzles to be free, much like a conventional newspaper that is subsidized by ads. And if they retained much more strongly for the long term, they would monetize much more strongly for the long term. We did expect that the IAP monetization would drop massively, but curiously, IAP monetization did not actually drop significantly. This was because users were still using coins to buy archive puzzles and themed puzzles, because they saw these archive puzzles and themed puzzles as bonuses over and above the daily puzzles, which were free. So while they perceived the daily puzzles as free, they were more than willing to pay for what they saw as bonuses. The retention gains were certainly huge, just because users had a reason to come back to the app every day because the daily puzzles were free and we had removed a huge amount of friction. One consequence of all of this was that our long-term retention improved dramatically too, not just the short-term one. We saw very, very little drop off as D14 went to D30, D60, and beyond to D365. This, of course, was exactly the retention improvement that led to our ability to invest much, much more in user acquisition. This is exactly what we talked about in one of our earlier episodes, how Puzzle Social grew UA spend from 0 to 1.5 million per month. And as that title indicates, this was exactly the kind of unit economics and spend that was unlocked by the retention improvement. So when you're looking at retention improvements, one question you can ask yourself is this: is there a way I can trade off short-term monetization for longer-term retention?
More tips, pointers, and strategies from the leading edge of mobile user acquisition. Subscribe to our YouTube channel right here, or check out our blog, rocketship.hq.com/blog.